want to talk to you about values, and more importantly, the difference between values and what I call your internal priorities. Now, over recent years, people have begun to discover the importance of values, but their understanding of values is unclear and in a lot of cases are misrepresented by many people. Now, I see a lot of discussion online about an individual's set of values or a company's set of values, what an organisation stands for in terms of their values, and getting staff aligned to the values of the company and how we should live by a set of values. And while a lot of it is right, there's a significant amount of it that is wrong. And as a result, many individuals, businesses and organisations are not achieving what they actually really could achieve if they fully understood the real understanding and significance of values. Now, I know I'm going to push a few buttons for people that are listening to this particular episode, and the reason being is that they hold a definition in their mind as to what values are, and they tell others that they're living according to their own values. Therefore, as a result, they will want to defend their position as being right, but when in fact they're not really fully right. You see, they're not living according to their true core values. How do I know? Because out of all the people I've worked with and all the workshops I've run where I identify an individual's core values, what they thought were their core values were not their core values 100% of the time. And when I look at a person listing out what their core values are, and I see a business listing out what their values are, I know that they don't have a full understanding of what core values really mean. And when I use different terminology for people that really understand what core values are, they completely agree with the definition, or they completely agree with that terminology that I use. Now, I know what you're going to hear on this episode is going to be different to what you might understand as your core values, but all I ask you to do is bear with me as I bring you through what it is and what values are, and therefore you'll be better placed to determine for yourself. Now, I'm not saying this because I'm trying to put across that I'm right and you're wrong. That's not the case at all. When you really understand the difference between what is generally understood as values and what values really are, then you'll realise why your inner sense has been feeling unfulfilled or lacking vitality. Values are of such significance. One of the most important things you can do in your life is to determine what your true core set of values are once you understand the difference. So let me explain the difference between what is generally understood as values and what values really are. Now, firstly, values are fingerprint specific, meaning they're unique to each individual. Even though people might use the same word to describe their core values, the deeper meaning will be very different for each person. Now, people describe their values using such terms as integrity, honesty, loyalty, reliability, freedom, courage, kindness, and so on. And while these are important to people, they tend not to be their true core values. These labels more describe what I call their philosophy. So what do I mean by that? Well, when it comes to their business or their relationships or their way of life, their philosophy is to deal with people with honesty and integrity, to be loyal and reliable, to have courage and to offer kindness to others. This is their way of being. It's what's important to them in how they interact in business or with their colleagues, with their clients or in relationships. But these are not their core values in the true sense. When it comes to companies or corporations, the same applies. They put forward their values as being along the lines of integrity, honesty, loyalty, reliability. But here's the thing, a company or a corporation is an inanimate object. It can't have values in the real meaning of values. Much like with the individual, this represents how they want to conduct their business and what is important to them when it comes to conducting business. These again are more like the philosophy of the company. Whereas the business itself is made up of individuals, and each individual has their own unique set of values, which again will have a specific meaning to themselves. And these unique individual values will be different to what the company will put forward as the values of the company. So while it's possible to have people work to or to have the same approach or philosophy, like integrity, honesty, loyalty, reliability, the company itself is missing a very, very valuable aspect which can propel their success if they wished. How? By identifying each individual's unique set of values, values in the true sense. So to understand values more correctly, think of values as what I prefer to call internal priorities or internal drivers. Then when you link those individual priorities to the mission and purpose of the business, then you have a very different and a more exceptional engagement from the people within the company. This is a lot of what I do when I'm working with companies. When this linking is done, people are more engaged in the business. For you to really know yourself and how you can really succeed, let's use the word philosophy to describe what's important to you when it comes to life or comes to relationships or to doing business. And instead of values, let's use the term internal priorities or internal drivers. Now, I use this term because they are internal to yourself. They operate on an unconscious level. It's by knowing and understanding your internal priorities that will be the key to really understanding yourself and what will ultimately lead to your purpose and success in life. Now, based on the study of axiology, which is the study of value, the unique hierarchy of our human internal priorities determines how we as individuals will perceive and act in the world. Internal priorities are the foundation of human behaviour and are key to self-development. Your highest internal priorities, or your top 3 internal priorities, are what underlies your perceptions, your decisions, your actions. They determine your overall life strategy and results. Now, Aristotle made reference to our desire to fill our internal emptiness, and this is needed for us to comprehend the source and to understand the importance of our values or our internal priorities. Now, as Aristotle implied, you feel those things that are not fulfilled in your life, and which leaves you desiring to fulfill them. This is where fulfillment in life is derived from. Those voids, which we perceive to be most empty or missing, we will want to fulfill them the most. So the very things that you desire to fulfill in your life the most will determine what your internal priorities are, or what your values are, in order of priority. Now, every individual on this planet, regardless of race or creed, colour, age or sex, lives by a set of internal priorities, things that are most important through to the things that are least important. Your highest internal priorities are the key to your highest fulfillment. They're what's most meaningful to you. The most important thing that you can absolutely do in life is to fulfill your internal priorities. So knowing your highest internal priorities and then applying your intentions, your business, your life around your internal priorities increases the probability of awakening your natural born leader. And as I explained in previous episodes, it increases your degree of inspiration, your degree of meaning and fulfillment in life. Your internal priorities are your evaluations and the judgments that you make about what is most or least important in your life at any moment in time. They determine your view of the world, and they generate your behaviour or why you do what it is that you do. They determine what you label good or evil, moral or ethical, or what you respect or disrespect. They determine your sense of worth, your sense of identity, your sense of being. To understand and know yourself, you must know your highest internal priorities. And no two people ever have exactly the same internal priorities. Nobody has the same viewpoint on life because nobody has the same voids driving those internal priorities, the things that are missing that they're trying to fulfill. Whenever you're interacting with a person, you're living in your internal priorities and they are living in theirs. Every decision that you make and that they make is based on what you and they perceive will fulfill your or their internal priorities the most. You see, you will make decisions based on what you think will give you the greatest advantage over disadvantage, the greatest reward over risk. Every decision at any moment is based on that. Whatever your highest internal priority, the ancient Greek philosophers called the telos, or the end in mind, and Napoleon Hill called your highest priority your chief aim in life. Whatever your highest internal priority is, you are most inspired from within to fulfill. Now, the study of your internal priorities, the Greeks called teleology, which is the study of purpose and meaning. You're therefore teleological and are living ultimately according to your telos, or your highest internal priority. When you're not aware of your purpose and are feeling uninspired, it's primarily due to living a life that is not in line with your highest internal priorities. Your purpose is the most efficient and effective pathway to fulfill your greatest amount of void, which is the greatest amount of value. Therefore, your highest internal priority is your present purpose or your present mission in life. So by way of example, and for you to see the difference, I'm going to share with you what my philosophy is and what my internal priorities are. Now, my philosophy when working with my clients is to treat them as partners. I view their business as my own business. I want them to succeed in their business just as much as I want to succeed in my business. I also treat my clients as I myself would want to be treated. It's a simple rule, and one we've all heard before. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's my philosophy when it comes to all my interactions with people. Now, they're similar to what others would describe as integrity, honesty, loyalty, or reliability. But here's my core values, my internal priorities, my internal drivers. And they are advising, learning, and experiencing. My whole business is being a personal advisor. Everything that I do is about advising my clients. Every year I spend a significant amount of money on learning. I attend numerous different types of opportunities just for learning. I'm always reading or researching in the areas that are in line with me and my business. And I'm always planning what experience I can have next. And that can be as simple as walking in the woodland or jumping out of a plane. Now, not that jumping out of a plane is simple, but you'll get the idea. The next big experience I'm planning right now at the moment is a biplane wing walk. So in every aspect of my life, what features the most are those three priorities: advising, learning, and experiencing. And as you can see, they're very different to my philosophy. Look at your values as your internal priorities or your internal drivers. They're what propels you forwards. And ask yourself this question about your values. Can you put your values into an active verb? So again, mine are advising, learning, and experiencing. They're all active verbs. Whereas integrity, honesty, or loyalty, are they active verbs? No, they're not. So if you can't be actively doing something in line with your values, then you're not going to be able to fulfill your voids and ultimately gain fulfillment and meaning in your life. Now take a look at what you have as your own set of values and see if you can answer that one question for yourself. Are they an active verb, or can you turn them into an active verb? Now when it comes to business, can we align our true values with that of the business? Now, as Bob the Builder would say, yes we can. If you take my business, I'm a personal advisor to business owners, executives and celebrities. So my whole business is in line with my highest value. When I work with my clients, I align the values of each individual within the business to the mission of the business. So not only is everyone aligned to the philosophy of the business, but their own individual values or their own individual internal priorities are also aligned to the mission of the business. That's how they all achieve personal fulfillment and meaning through the business they work within. I also do with partners in relationships and partners in business, and it takes their bond to a whole new level. I cannot emphasize it enough. Your true core values are the most important thing in your life. So when you think about your core values, think of them in terms of your internal priorities or your internal drivers. And because your internal priorities work on an unconscious level, the only way we can really determine what your internal priorities are is to find the evidence from your unconscious mind and how your unconscious mind is trying to make them manifest in your life. That's what I do when I'm working with my clients. Now, if you were to go back and listen to all the episodes in this podcast again, you'll have a very different and a much, much deeper understanding of what's possible. That's what makes the executive code so complex, yet simple in all the dimensions that I cover. Now, if you want to find out what your own internal priorities are, or you'd like to discuss how you could bring your business to a much more higher level by aligning the internal priorities of everyone within the business, then please reach out to me. Just go to theexecutivecode.com and all my details are there. And there's also links contained in the description of this particular episode that will bring you to find out more about your own internal priorities. And as I said earlier, 100% of the clients that I've worked with were not operating in line with their internal priorities because what they thought their values were in fact not their core values. And you might be the same. So I hope I didn't push too many buttons for people, but I do hope now you understand the difference between what is generally understood as values and what values really are and why they're so important. And by the way, it's so worth sharing this episode with your friends and colleagues in whatever the easiest way is for you, whether it's email, social media, or just by having a conversation with somebody, because we really need to get the information out to help people. And as I always say, sharing is caring. So until the next episode, as always, I wish you every success.